I don't know if you can see it, but Ollie is on my lap, and you will probably occasionally see a paw or more climb up. He's just kind of getting some love. He was sleeping, and now he's just getting some head scratches, living his best life over here. 5 shows, 200 episodes, and closing in on 1,000 promo-esque videos from those 200 episodes. Woof. I've been producing and editing podcasts since June of last year, and that's about where I'm at as of right now. It's a lot of content to create in the short amount of time that I have been producing and editing, so let's just go back to woof. Obviously, I'm no stranger to making content. I mean, I've made content, videos, posted online in one form or another since about 2012. But the consistency and volume that I've been producing recently for these shows has been just honestly next level for me. So for National Podcast Day, I wanted to reflect on the last 200 episodes and take a look at some of the trends, lessons learned, any kind of random thing that I've noticed while on my journey as an editor and producer in the podcast world. Also, side note, I didn't realize until after I wrote the script for this video, but this is also going to be the 200th video on this channel, so we're kind of all in the 200s right now. But with that said, Ollie and I are just going to get into it. Hey, bud. Told you guys he was just a content little guy. Look at this. Look at this little dude. He's just living his best life. Alright, there's going to be cat hair on me. If you see it, you see it. If it's not on camera, perfect. Kicking it off with what I think is the most fun one, in-person recordings are awesome. The podcasts that I work on are primarily remotely recorded. However, for a few of them, I have had the privilege of being flown out to conferences to help facilitate in-person recordings. During these on-site experiences, I would be in charge of the audio portion of the production. So I'd be running XLR cords, I'd be setting up the microphones for the host and guest, I'd be monitoring the audio levels and quality and everything as the episode gets recorded. I'd basically be the audio guy. During remote productions, I'm kind of the everything person, like jack of all trades, master of none, so I really appreciate that in this role for on-site, in-person stuff, I'm able to specialize. And on a side note, these in-person opportunities allow me to travel, which is not something I typically do. It lets me meet the clients in person as opposed to only seeing them on video calls, recording sessions, or through emails, and it lets me network a bit, so all things that wouldn't be happening remotely, or at least not happening nearly as well. Up next, simple presentation does not equal a quick and easy process. Throughout the podcasts I've worked on, I've had the opportunity to try out a bunch of different editing styles. One of these styles is more focused on removing dead space, gaps between words, breathing, very reminiscent of a classic YouTube edit, except instead of embracing the jump cuts, it purposely hides them between switching camera angles, tactfully zooming in and zooming out on the host, that sort of thing. Holy moly, did I not anticipate how long that type of edit actually takes you to do. It's not a hard edit, but it's a tedious one. There are so many different cuts or scenes that go into this type of edit. I think right now my record is over 500 different scenes within just one episode of a podcast. It's not even a long podcast in the end. Looking at the finished product, you probably wouldn't think that it took multiple hours across different sittings to get from raw recording to finished product. I'm definitely getting faster at this type of editing as I go, and certainly am taking a lot less time to do it than when I first started doing it, but to anyone that consistently edits in this style, respect. Number 3, low quality audio is inevitable. A vast majority of guests that have hopped on for virtual recordings for the shows that I work on don't have a dedicated microphone. In way more cases than I would like to admit, a guest has joined with literally just their laptop. No webcam, no external microphone, just a laptop, maybe a pair of AirPods, and a dream. Now, this may be something that is serviceable for Zoom calls, talking on Discord, doing Slack huddles, things like that. But podcasts have an air of quality to them, at least for the audio side, or that's usually what someone thinks of when they think of a podcast. There's a reason the Shure SM7B is like the podcast microphone, because it's a really nice microphone that's always used in podcasts, and so it kind of just contributes to the overall collective what you think of when you think of podcasts. Integrated webcams and Bluetooth headphones ain't that. Fortunately, through tools like Descript Studio Sound, Adobe's Podcast Audio Enhance, or plugins like Isotope RX11, I'm almost always able to improve bad audio to at least get it to a serviceable point. I used to wince when I would hop onto a recording call or watch back a recording session that I wasn't a direct part of but needed to edit and noticed really bad audio. But honestly, nowadays I kind of take it as a challenge to see just how much I can improve it. Now, these tools don't work for everything, and I've certainly had my fair share of why won't this audio just get better? But also in some cases, I've actually made the guests with like AirPods or some sort of wireless headphones or integrated webcam mic somehow sound better than the host. I'm not an audio engineer, but I know a fair bit as far as a self-taught person goes. I take it as a point of pride that I'm able to accomplish anything remotely close to what I do. Number 4, Descript is buggy but amazing. I have a love-hate relationship with Descript. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. It has its flaws. Its flaws are really annoying, but those flaws didn't stop me from buying my own personal subscription to it outside of the one I use for my 9-to-5 production job. For anyone who doesn't know what Descript is, it is a video editor that is... Oh, hello. Descript is a video editor that is possibly the first, and if not one of the first, transcript-based editors that hit the market. It's very much oriented towards interview or podcast style editing this way. It's got a whole host of really convenient features, and honestly, for most of the things that I personally edit, it's genuinely a really good program. Want to create a transcript and search for specific words so you can get to a key moment in a video so you know exactly where to cut down? Descript's got you. Want to create multiple sub-compositions within a project file so that way you can have the main episode and then a bunch of different supplementary clips all within the same project still? Descript's got you. Do you want to edit on the go with a web-based version of the editor that is somehow better and more supported and genuinely just all around more effective as an editor than the main application? Descript's got you. Do you want all of your files saved to the cloud instead of on your personal hard drive with the ability to publish to a link that you can share and share access to your projects so other people can collaborate, leave notes, comments, help you improve? Descript's got you. And genuinely, that is only a few things that this editor can do. Now, I know it sounds like I'm shilling or being paid to say this. I'm not, but I will. Descript, you want to throw a little something over? I won't say no, but there's also a lot of downsides that can sometimes make it infuriating to use. For example, their web version being their most supported and best version of the editor also means that you need a stable internet connection. It means every time you refresh, there's a chance that they had pushed a new version in the meantime and you're getting a whole new editor with a slew of changes. Sometimes that's even a change to the UI and you're like, where the fuck did this thing go? Wait, this is a new feature. Oh, this doesn't work. Oh no. I've genuinely had days where they pushed like 4 or 5 updates within a few hours of each other. Chill, dev team. Chill. There was even one point in time where, thinking this was somehow an improvement, they took away one of the best features that Descript had, their scene sidebar, which thankfully they did bring back in the form of a legacy timeline editing option that you could toggle on and off. If you get rid of that, Descript, I will stop paying for you. So don't do that. Keep that as an option. In fact, just don't make it legacy, just bring it back full time. It'll be really great. But it feels like the dev team has an idea for a cool feature. They push it through pretty quickly. They don't think about how it's going to impact other features, or they don't do nearly enough QA testing before it goes live, and it just kind of fucks people over. Like, there's clearly a disconnect at some points where the dev team thinks that users want certain things without realizing that the things they're taking away or altering to make those things happen are the things that people actually want to use that platform for. So I could go like tit for tat on I love this, I hate this, and maybe that can be a future video, just my love-hate relationship with Descript in detail, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about podcasting as a whole, so we're gonna kind of cap it there. Thankfully, the annoyances and cons of Descript don't outweigh the pros, and so I'm still very much using it, and for the most part, very happy. But yeah, if you're looking for a new editor, or you're looking to get into editing and you're a little intimidated by the classic timeline editor view, something like Descript is very user-friendly, so try it out. All right, on to number 5. Conversations IRL versus conversations on video. Reeling it back in, this one's gonna be a bit of a short one because I know Descript that was a little rambly. But something I picked up on rather quickly was how much I would have to mute out the non-primary speaker when editing a podcast episode. Now, specifically what I'm muting out here is the filler words, like the acknowledgements, like the yeah, the uh-huh, interesting, like those kinds of like interjection responses that they don't really add much or anything really, but in an IRL conversation, those things are used to show whoever's talking to you like, yeah, I'm paying attention, I'm intently listening, I'm following along. It's something that helps drive that conversation forward, gives the speaker confidence that you are engaged. But it's interesting that something that normally would help a regular conversation happen is actually a bit of a detractor when it comes to the podcasting sphere. Now, I say a bit of a detractor because what I have experienced is that those sorts of interjections oftentimes just kind of create distractions, especially if they aren't picked up well by the microphone. So it just becomes like, oh, yeah, like those kinds of noises. Like that happens a lot more than you think it would. So honestly, more often than not, I find myself just muting out the non-primary speaker, even if they have a little interjection here and there, unless they're both on screen at the same time. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting observation, that something that is almost universally a positive in conversation just so happens to be a negative in podcasting. All right, last one, number 6. When 4K isn't necessary. This isn't a podcast specific thing. Honestly, this could probably carry over to any sort of content creation, but something I've become very aware of through these podcasts is 4K is not usually necessary. Now, I know what I just said. All you content creators, chill. I know, I just said you don't need 4K. I mean it. In a lot of contexts, I do mean it. Hear me out. Reeling it back into podcasts, some guests on the remote episodes, as well as any of the sets for the in-person episodes that I have worked on, have used traditional cameras rather than webcams. Well, yeah, of course the production team uses regular, legit cameras and not webcams. Duh. I was bringing it in because some people do it in the remote stuff too. So, shush. Usually it's some sort of Sony with the occasional Canon making an appearance. Now that we've established that those are regularly used, with these cameras, I have experienced picture quality at 1080p that looks better than what I personally imagine when I think of 4K video. When you think of 4K video, you think of that like super crystal clear, sharp image, it's really looking nice. I have a certain level of quality in mind when I think of 4K that I have seen cameras set to 1080p blow out of the water. It's honestly been so good that when we're coordinating with AV teams for on-site shoots, we've started asking that they don't record in 4K because it would just be a waste of storage space for a very minimal improvement. You could also get into the whole argument of well, it's a podcast, there's going to be a whole portion that are audio-only listeners. A lot of people will just be watching on their phones, and it's not going to matter if it's really nice 1080p or if it's 2K, 4K, whatever. And there's probably only a small portion of your audience that would be able to fully take advantage of 4K anyways, and that's also a valid point. But also, I'm not saying 4K is never needed. For example, if someone joins a remote recording with a 4K webcam, I'm going to be capturing that 4K. I want to take full advantage of the quality I can get there because webcams aren't as customizable with how good of a shot you can tweak it to compared to a DSLR or mirrorless camera. That's just objectively a fact. And I know webcams are coming a fair way. There's a few different 4K webcams on the market now, and some of them do genuinely look really nice. But just objectively, you can tune an older DSLR or mirrorless camera in 1080p to look a lot cleaner and have a lot more going on than the standard buy it on Amazon for $100 webcam. Plus, if you were exclusively recording in 4K, those file sizes can get huge. I think the biggest I've experienced is 220 something gigabytes for an hour-long 3-camera shoot, all recorded in 4K. We ended up asking for 1080 proxies for that recording. There are cases where 4K can make sense, but there's a lot of cases where you genuinely don't need it to achieve the quality level and clarity level that you're probably looking to achieve when you think of let's record in 4K. Okay, I'm personally a bit curious. Anyone here from the podcasting world that kind of came to the same conclusions or discoveries or observations that I have over the past year and some change? If you have, reach out and let me know because I'd love to know I'm not alone in slowly discovering these things as I go on. But that's going to do it for today. I hope you guys took something out of this, whether you were entertained, you thought Ollie was cute, you learned something new, whatever it was, I hope you got something out of this video. I also hope everyone has a fantastic National Podcast Day, and if you happen to be watching this not the day it goes out, then I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, evening, whatever your time zone says it is, and I'll see you next time.